Good morning, neighbor.
Good morning.
So nice to see your beautiful faces this morning. So I'm wondering if I told you that I have the solution to every challenge in your life, that I had the answer to every financial issue, every relationship issue, every problem you could possibly have. How many of you'd sign up?
Amen.
Yeah. How many of you want to hear it? Yeah. So the question is, would you actually use it if I gave it to you? All right. Honesty. I appreciate honesty, right? It just so happens I do, in fact, have the solution. It's called the golden key. And this morning, you received that solution as well. The golden key has been around for a long time. It's not anything new, but it's something that, although it is simple, it seems to be very difficult for us to follow. And so this morning, I'm going to invite you to take the key and turn your problems into the door, to open the door to greater health, greater freedom, and a more intimate relationship with God. How does that sound?
All right.
All right, so step into my laboratory. In the book that you received this morning, there's an article by a former classmate of mine, Toni Coleman Stevens. And I love what she says. She writes, "I consider my life to be an experiment and a test laboratory." I love that idea. You see, what I have found to be true in my own life, and maybe true in yours, is that I can be facing problems, and I'll pick up the next greatest Joel Osteen book, or I'll pick up the next best thing that Louise Hayes has put out, and I'll read all these spiritual books. You walk into my house, Jane and I literally have bookcases upon bookcases of spiritual books. She's read most of them and interpreted them for me. Or we'll go talk to the next spiritual teacher, and we'll get this wonderful, vibrant lesson that just lights us up. Or we'll go on a spiritual retreat somewhere. And then we go home, we get in our favorite recliner, we prop our feet up, and we wait expectantly for something to change. Now, am I the only one that does that? You see, one of the things that Emmet Fox says about the golden key is that if you want things to change, the only thing that will work is practical work on your own consciousness. You can read everything you want to read. You can come here every Sunday. You can be the best Unity Truth student there is, and absolutely nothing in your life will change. Because you see, the only way to create change is to experiment. Experiment with the new ideas that you're picking up. Test those truth principles and see if they're true for you. If you don't use it, you'll never know. You'll never know whether your life will change or not. You have to be willing to read and then apply. Why the golden key? Well, in 1931, one of the New Thought leaders at that time was Emmet Fox. He had a very large, thriving community of New Thought followers. He was an accomplished author, and he was also friends with our very own co-founders, Charles and Myrtle Fillmore. And Charles was so impressed by this little pamphlet that Emmet had created that he asked him if he would create a special Unity edition. So a special Unity edition of the Golden Key, just for Unity folks. And this is what Emmet says in the foreword to that special Unity edition. The Golden Key has been the means of helping many people all over the world solve all kinds of problems and overcome all sorts of handicaps. And in the present edition, it is finding a new field of usefulness. I'm happy to cooperate in this way with the fine unity work in which I believe so heartily. May the golden key be the means of opening your door to health, freedom, and knowledge of God. What I know to be true as a truth student, as a truth scientist, what I know to be true is that that golden key that was written in 1932 is just as profoundly effective today as it was then. That the golden key is just as powerful as the power you give it through your intention and your application. So what is this little tidbit, this golden key to solve everything? It's really quite simple. Emmet writes, all you have to do is this. All right, now everybody listen, because you may only get it once, and I want to make sure that you get it absolutely right. So ready? Here it is. Stop thinking about the difficulty, whatever it is, and think about God instead. This is the complete rule, and if only you will do this, the trouble, whatever it is, will disappear. Sounds simple, right? I'm thinking about a Bob Newhart video that I saw once where a woman goes in to get psychiatric treatment from him. And she says, you know, I have this fear, blah, blah. He says, stop it. Throughout the whole video. She says, but you don't understand. Like, I really have this horrible ex-husband. Well, stop it. But all I can think about is that I'm going to be buried alive. Stop it. That's kind of what Emmet is saying. Stop it. Stop thinking about the difficulty and think about God. So it sounds really simple, right? So then why aren't all of us doing it? Why isn't it easy? I remember early in my recovery sitting in meetings and looking at those 12 steps and going in my mind, check, check, check. You know, and my sponsor said to me, it looks easy, but it looks simple, but it's really not very easy. The same with us. It sounds easy, just stop it and think about God. Why is that so difficult for us? I know for me personally, I like to be the captain of my own ship. I like to be the director of my own play. In fact, I am God's highest advisor on my life. I can tell God exactly what needs to happen, when, and how it all needs to unfold. Anybody else in the room like that? Yes. Emmet Fox calls that outlining, where we give God the outline of how our life should play out, how we want things to work out. The problem with outlining is that when we are planning the solution, when we are trying to tell God how things should work out, we stop the process of things working out. We kind of muck up the works. We kind of derail everything because we immediately close our minds to the infinite possibilities that Russell was singing about the minute we try to direct the show. As I was thinking about this in my list of instructions that I'm often obliged to give God, I was reminded of a wallet card I used to carry around. So this card, and it had this little poem on it. And so I looked it up, and I found it on the internet, of course. And it was actually written by a woman named Connie Merritt. It's called the Broken Toys poem. And this is what it says. As children bring their broken toys with tears for us to mend, I brought my broken dreams to God because God is my friend. But then instead of leaving God in peace to work alone, I hung around and tried to help with ways that were my own. At last, I snatched them back and cried, "How can you be so slow?" "My child," God said, "what can I do? You never did let go." In order for the golden key to work in our lives, we have to be willing to let go. That is our part. We have to be willing to do our part and let God do God's part. This power and this presence that lives within us and around us is greater. You've heard me say that over and over. Greater than anything we could possibly face. But God can't do God's work if I'm doing it for God. We have to be willing to get out of the way. That's the first part of the golden key. That's probably the most difficult part of the golden key, is a willingness to let go. The second part of the golden key that Emmet Fox talks about is to then think about God. To think about God. So how do we think about God? Now, those of us that have been around for a while know that God is not limited by our thoughts. God is also not limited by our imagination. That if we truly believe in this infinite creative force that's everywhere present, then the very minute we begin to define it, we've limited it. And yet, I dare say everyone in this room has had an experience of God. There have been a moment in your life when you have been profoundly touched. Maybe you didn't call it God. Maybe you called it love. Maybe you called it divine intervention. But everyone has had that experience. And the attributes that we would desire in God are already alive in us. Charles Fillmore taught that from the very beginning, that there is within us these divine qualities that connect us to that which created us. And so, it's time to step in the lab. Are you ready? All right, so I want you to take your bulletins out. And on the back, there is a place for notes. And the first step is, God is. So I'm going to give you a minute, and I want you to answer the question, God is. Write down as many adjectives as you can come up with. Ready? Go. Five more seconds. Make sure your God is not too small. Someone actually gave me a book like that one time. Handed me a book that said, "Your God is too small." Great. Let me add that to my list. All right. Breathe. So let's keep that vibration moving. So God is what? Love. Infinite. Caring. Yes. Forgiving.
Non-demanding.
Undemanding. Intelligent.
Sentencing.
Sentency. What? Powerful. Ah.
In the space of the atoms.
In the space of the atoms. I love that. In between the notes.
Within me.
Within me.
And you.
And you. Present.
Loves me for me.
Everywhere.
Loves me for me. Everywhere.
Unlimited by me.
Unlimited by me. Wow. So what do you notice about how you're feeling right now? Somebody give me a feeling.
Uplifted.
Uplifted. What else?
Happy.
Happy? Anybody relieved?
Expanded.
Expanded?
Oh.
Joy? Are you joyful, Stephanie?
One of mine is
Yes.
God is Stephanie's joy.
Yeah. Wow. So just relish that feeling for a minute. We took 1 minute out of an hour to think about God. And notice how you feel. So when you were making your list and we were calling out the names of God, what were you thinking about?
God.
Ah. So that is a basic law of physics. Physics tells us that no two objects can occupy the same space at the same time. Whether that be my hands, or that be Russell and I standing next to each other, or your thoughts. Two opposing thoughts cannot occupy the same space at the same time. No matter how brilliant you are, you can only think one thing at a time. A lot of us have learned that as we've gotten older. Sometimes we can only do one thing at a time if we're going to do it very well, right? And so if you're thinking about God, what are you not thinking about?
Your problem.
And you're creating the energy that will change it. Anybody know what Albert Einstein said about solutions? You cannot solve a problem from the same consciousness that created it. Right? That's why thinking about God works. So everybody clap. You just completed your first golden key. You just golden keyed it, right? So I have an interesting proposal. I'd like us to expand our minds and shift our consciousness. So I want to invite you into the laboratory of your own life with me for 21 days. Why 21 days? Habit, right? It takes 21 days to break a bad habit or to create a new one. It takes 21 days for our brain to catch up. 21 days. So for the next 21 days, I want you to practice the golden key. Not only do I want you to practice it, I want you to let me know how you're doing. So this is a stretch. Everybody take a deep breath. I know you think you pay me to show up on Sundays and to tell you what to do. And some of that's true. I want you to be a part of this. So as the week progresses, you can call and leave me a voicemail. You can send me an email. I'm at revglenda@unityfw.org. Or you can stop in the office. We have some exciting news about that. I'm actually in the office more than usual. So you can stop in the office. Because I'm going to take everything that you ask, suggest, or share and turn it into the Sunday message. So next Sunday could be really interesting. We could have some prolonged silence. right? Because I want you to join with me. I want you to join with me in not only changing your lives, but changing the world. Because I know that if we're thinking about God, and you're thinking about God, and you're thinking about God, and you're thinking about God, I know that that vibration moves out from here. I know that the only people who can change this world are you and I. If we don't do it, who will? Do you want more health? Do you want more freedom? Do you want to have a relationship with that power and presence that created you? We're about to find out. Emmet Fox closes the foreword by saying this. Read the Golden Key several times. Do exactly what it says. And if you are persistent, you will overcome any difficulty. Don't be afraid to rinse and repeat. Right? Know that this is a practice. So what is inferred by a practice? Did you learn to ride your bicycle the first time on it?
No.
I had a couple of skinned knees. In fact, I just got a new recumbent bicycle. You would think I was 10 again. Right, when I get on it? It's like, Shane's like, they're going to pull you over for a DUI. Right? This is the same. Spiritual practice is called practice for a reason. Because you don't just do it once and get mastery. You have to be willing to do it over and over and over. And for some of us that get really caught on a problem, get caught on an issue, we may have to repeat and rinse several times within an hour. Maybe within a day. Don't be afraid to practice. The golden key can open the door to a change in your consciousness, to a change in your life. But you have to unlock the door. With infinite love and gratitude for each of you as my fellow scientist. Namaste.